Gateway drugs are simply the first drugs most people experiment with. Tobacco, alcohol, and marijuana are the three gateway drugs. Many of us have a tolerant view of kids using them. We just don't realize that early occasional use can lead to behavioral, emotional, or drug abuse problems. Clearly, most people who use tobacco, alcohol, or marijuana don't end up an alcohol or drug abuser. But we do know that every addict began their cycle of abuse with the use of one, two, or all three. And oftentimes they had learned about them at home.
Would you get Daddy a cold one, please?
Kids learn about gateway drugs by watching and becoming involved in their parents' use of them. We must examine our own habits and realize we are role models for our children. So how do we start solving this drug puzzle? Step one, don't deny the problem exists. Learn the 4 basic phases of addiction. And remember that early use of gateway drugs may lead to serious alcohol and drug problems. Step 2, learn about drugs. What if you found an odd-looking pipe? Would you know it was drug paraphernalia or just think it was some silly-looking thing your child had collected? Helping kids means learning about the drug culture, knowing what drugs look like, and how they're used.
Oh, I'm sure a few kids drink a little. I know I did. Can't be serious. Kid stuff.
Truth. Alcohol is by far the drug most often used by our children. By age 11, over 50% have tried alcohol at least once. By age 16, nearly 2 out of 3 have been intoxicated.
Our kids' drug of choice is not some potent powder smuggled by international criminals halfway around the world. It's plain old, available in every supermarket, alcohol. We all know what alcohol looks and tastes like, but because it's so common, we forget that it is a very powerful drug. Alone or combined with prescription pills or other drugs, alcohol can be lethal. So lethal, in fact, that alcohol-related traffic accidents are the #1 cause of death among our teenagers.
I know that a few kids smoke marijuana once in a while, but it's harmless. How big of a problem can it really be?
Truth. Over 60,000 California junior high and high school students are estimated to smoke marijuana every day of their lives.
All right. I'll see you on Thursday. See you.
Marijuana is our children's second most popular drug. Commonly called weed, grass, or smoke, it is the leaves and flowers of a plant easily grown in many parts of the U.S. and the world. Marijuana is often sold and stored in small plastic bags. It is usually smoked in hand-rolled cigarettes or pipes and has a strong, pungent odor. Paraphernalia for its use includes unusual-looking pipes, water-filled pipes called bongs, cigarette papers, and roach clips used for holding the ends while smoking. Hashish, or hash, is an extract of marijuana and usually seen as a brown gummy substance. Because it is much more potent, hashish is sold and used in smaller quantities. It is most often smoked in small, bowled pipes.
Cocaine? I suppose you could say it's dangerous, but it's not really addictive.
Truth. Doctors, law enforcement, and drug counselors all agree cocaine is one of the most dangerous and addictive drugs available.
After alcohol and marijuana, the most widely abused drug among our kids is cocaine. Commonly called coke, blow, rock, or crack, cocaine is having a disastrous effect on our society. Derived from the South American coca plant, this drug is seen in many forms, all of them extremely addictive. The traditional form of cocaine is a white powder. It is often sold in small foil or paper packets. Small mirrors or other hard, smooth surfaces and razor blades are paraphernalia often associated with its use. Usually inhaled through the nose with a short straw or rolled-up dollar bill, cocaine can also be injected into the veins. Rock, or crack, is a recently developed and more dangerous form of cocaine. It's sold in small squares, or rocks, and is much cheaper to buy than the powdered form. It is ingested by smoking in a pipe. Crack has quickly become a major problem for law enforcement in our communities because it's low in price, readily available, and highly addictive.
Hey, look, I'm not a really good student, you know. I mean, I have to stay up late a lot of nights. So what's it hurt if I take a little something to keep awake? It's just the same as a cup of coffee.
Truth. Methamphetamines and other uppers are highly addictive and dangerous drugs. Prolonged use causes severe emotional and physical problems.
Methamphetamines and amphetamines are also very popular stimulants with our kids. Commonly referred to as uppers, speed, crank, or meth. They can be swallowed or injected. Because these drugs are often produced in illegal backyard labs, they can be dangerously impure. Although receiving less publicity than newer or more fashionable drugs, heroin continues to be a major problem in this country. Not only is it extremely dangerous, but as with cocaine, addicts often resort to crimes like burglary, armed robbery, or prostitution to support their habits. Sometimes called black tar, China white, or Mexican brown, heroin is a powder derived from a certain variety of poppy. It may range in color from white to dark brown, but is most often seen in is an odorless and colorless chemically manufactured drug that greatly distorts perception and reality. Because it is so potent, the dosage needed is incredibly small. A microscopic drop can be put on paper, small gelatin squares, or any other absorbent material. Basically, anything that can be swallowed can be used as a carrier for LSD. You've seen the most common drugs our children are exposed to. Remember them. But more than that, understand the symptoms that accompany their use. Along with behavioral and emotional symptoms, there are physical changes that accompany drug and alcohol problems. Of course, we all would recognize obvious ones like slurred speech or bloodshot eyes. But be alert to other symptoms. Does your child have memory lapses or difficulty in concentrating? Has your kid suddenly changed sleep patterns, getting more or less sleep than usual? Have you noticed poor physical coordination, a dramatic shift in your child's energy, or just a plain unhealthy appearance? Drugs or alcohol may be the reason.
One of the problems, though, as parents sometimes we ignore is that involvement in drug and alcohol. We ignore that in our children sometimes because we are afraid or ashamed to admit that they're doing something illegal, that they're involved with an illegal substance. And as a result, we're afraid to communicate with our children. We're afraid to ask them questions or give them information because it might be the wrong information. So as parents, what we need to do is become informed.
Certain behavioral changes may indicate a problem. Changes like being secretive or more hostile towards you. Changing friends and not discussing their activities. These can be signposts. Loss of energy and motivation. Trouble with school authorities or the police and loss of interest in family activities are strong indicators of potential drug or alcohol problems. Be alert to your child suddenly having more money, a newfound interest in the drug culture, or a hostility about discussing the subject at all. Basically, just pay attention to your kids. Their behavior should tell you if there is a problem.
A parent ought to know if a kid's not eating right, that's a sign of speed, because I didn't eat when I was on speed. I didn't want to have anything to do with food. Plus, real airheaded, real ignorant, sleeping a lot. I used to sleep all the time. Argumentative, always everything you say, there has to be a little argument to it. Or you talk a lot. Either it's real isolated or you talk a lot. Like if you're on speed, you're going to be rapping away and you're not going to touch food. Those are the things I did when I was on speed.
Next to home, school is the best place to observe children, to detect if they're having drug or alcohol problems. As an educator, over the years I've come to recognize that some students do have problems, and that some of those problems are drug and or alcohol related.
A sudden change in behavior is a dead giveaway to potential problems. A child who starts missing school regularly, is inattentive in class, or has a sudden drop in grades may have an alcohol or drug problem.